Okay. Welcome, 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 my beautiful people. Now, we are here for a big, big day today. And honestly, it's just been a lot of good energy this week. And for today in our live stream, first live stream of Icon, you are your own icon, meaning. And today I have a special guest. And to be honest, this special guest is someone that is really, really close to me. And to give you some idea, he actually kind of looks like me. So if you guys can just go ahead and comment and guess who that is in this comment below. But also, before we even get started, definitely subscribe so you guys can get notified for more cool live streams that we're going to be doing more throughout this end of the year. And really, today is about a real big topic, okay? A topic that a lot of people stare away from. And what is that? Uh, a lot of people probably figure, racism isn't a real big thing in today's world. But in reality, that is the number one thing that we all struggle with now in today's society. And for to be frank about it, it's really to take the understanding from another person's perspective and replacing that with another, and understanding that not everybody is going to be the same as you. Not everyone grew up the same as you. And to know that really will help you understand a different perspective on not just the typical racism that you may seen or grew up hearing about. Racism and discrimination is in all types of categories. In today's world, we don't really talk about that. So today, I have my guy, William S. Bradford, joining the live stream right now. Let's get him in here, y'all. Okay,
What
look at that.
doing?
My
You doing?
guy. Oh, we have a little lag. What's going on?
Hi. You just introduced me.
Did I? I sure did. So again, we're live right now, so we're definitely wanting to get in the gist of everything in one time. And I don't want to have everybody up here all day, but at the end of the day, this is something that needs to be talked about. And for you, my man, I definitely want to get a little bit insight on uh, how in today's society, how not only do we not think that we're racist, but we know that we do discriminate and don't even realize it because it's not something that we typically, kind of grew up knowing like this is what that is. You just have to be like this. That's not wasn't the sanctuary type topic in your household, but of course, your parents always discuss like, be a certain way around certain races or having to do certain things to be in a favorable type of way with other races. And today, actually, we're gonna stay tuned and have our other special guests join in and chime in on this conversation. But from you and your perspective, like in today's society, what to you is the real big gist of how racism is and how, today and what it looks like?
What my point of view of it? Chat.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think technically, I think racism and discrimination are two different things. Racism, we can be discriminatory about, but at the same time, not be a racist. So I think people misconstrue what the two lead up to being racist and being and having discrimination. We all discriminate every day. We don't realize it. We discriminate, meaning we call it different words like choices. We have choices, but we discriminate. It's called choices. But for example, like a sweater, I wanted to wear this a white sweater, but I said the white background might blend in, so I wanted to wear this pink lavender pink type sweater. I mean shirt. So I discriminated upon that by my choice. So some of our choices, we all have our choices, and we all set them here or there, but we all have our choices. but sometimes we make them choices a negative part of our life in discrimination as far as racism. But
Right.
racism and discrimination can go hand in hand when we use one or the other. But most times people don't understand that there are two different things. We all discriminate upon different things every day, but we don't really recognize what it is. It's just because we call it choices. You know what I'm saying? So, but racism really holds down deep when we actually look into people as being different from us, and then we start categorizing them as being uh, uh, not up to par because it's not like what we see as far as ourselves, as far as with our culture. But being different cultures have different types of things that we pick and choose. So we all pick and choose different things, and then that's how we become racist because of we
Mm.
stereotype different people to be different ways. And I wanted to say this one thing too, Chaz, that the our families, our culture, being that we I think being able to talk to openly to our have communication to our families and our friends openly about different discriminatory things. You don't have to be racist to be to discriminate the color of the shirt that you're gonna wear, or the you want ice cream, vanilla ice cream instead of chocolate. You know, that's all your choices. But sometimes people misconstrue what racism really is. You know, being a racist is pick and choose with different cultures because they have stereotyped them being in because their characteristics are not like my characteristics, so they're below me or beneath me. So that's when we start being kind of racist. You understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you for that. And I definitely take that in consideration how, in today's society, how we are just, I feel as though I'm 25, so growing up in the early 2000s, understanding like we always were in a group of some type of everyone was the same race, or it was that one standout person, whether he was white, Hispanic, or whatever. Even if we were around a whole bunch of white people, it was either one black person in that area or two or three. It's never just that same. It wasn't always the same kind of races for me growing up. It was always kind of diverse, but in the end, we always hung out with what we known, and what we knew was the black culture. And we didn't really, I know for myself, I grew up very diverse in different areas, but to be frank, it was definitely something to where that I knew that I didn't really care about what another person looked like, so I'll befriend you. But in the end, I always knew that I wanted to hang out with more black people anyway. And I don't know, it's just it's psychology. It's like uh, just a. I feel as though something that is just inside you that just automatically clicks. Like you're what you look like me, so I want to hang out with you, or you kind of look like somebody I want to inspire to be, so I want to hang out with you, type of thing. And for yourself, I just want to ask, like, back in the day, like, you grew up in the 60s and 70s, right? Not putting your age out there or anything, but it's like, man, what really happened, like, growing up during that time for you to be able to feel comfortable in a predominantly white neighborhood? And we're going to get into detail about that a little later, but give me some insight on your growing up childhood and where, like, that racism was playing a part, but what even categories of people did you hang out with, period?
Well, how did I feel growing up in a predominantly 99.5% white community? Is that what your
Right.
question you're asking me? How did I feel growing up like that?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that was question, but being, being we were here for like 2.5 years. I was here at Bedford. I'm in here now, but the thing with it is that Bedford is most like a lot of uh, the country small towns. They're almost the same as far as their characteristics. They're they sit they're a lot of them are conservative. for the most part, but they're not going to stick out or, you know, burn crosses in your lawn in the front yard, or the Ku Klux Klan's not going to walk down the street, Main Street. He might be later on, but that was back in the day. So, but right as far as they won't say things openly in your face, but they would do things in their family. They would say different things behind their back about how you are or who you are, but they wouldn't do it openly. That's being conservative. So it wasn't a blatantly out and open. So I didn't really feel the pressure or against myself growing up here or being here. Most of the time, guys would be coming on with me in a minute. Most of the time, when I had a camaraderie. I mean, Waltman's the gentleman that's coming on now in a minute, Stephen Waltman. His father, his uncle was my coach. His father was my English teacher, and so his father was like the best person in the world to me, and he was coming, how you doing? How's everything? How's the day? And so it made me feel really, really good. I'm like, who's this man? So at first it was kind of like I was standing off as thinking, this guy talking to me like that. But this was every day. So after it got a while, I became really comfortable in a white town, being black. I was the only black person, only male black person in my school at the time, only one. So coming from a 99.9% all white school to a 99.9 all white school, it was definitely a culture shock. Definitely. But his
Right.
father put his arm around me, sort of, and kind of embraced me and just made me feel right at home. I really felt okay.
That's good. That's really good. In a sense of, I never really grew up to where it was just me by myself. So I have no idea how that was. And plus, you were back in the day. So I can only imagine. And I want to actually, if Steven is available, we can get him into the live chat right now and get him going. Well, not live chat, but live stream. If he's here right now, let's get him in here. Um, so let him know.
I'm right here. Can
Well,
you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you on the screen.
All right.
Let me see your screen.
Add yourself into that link that we sent out. But
Okay.
also a note to where, like, in a sense, I want to give my viewers an idea on where you guys are actually from. So give you a understanding. These guys are from Bedford. If you ever been to Bedford, Pennsylvania, then you understand. Back in the 60s and 70s, this was not it to be, kind of willed in by a white man and a white kid to where y'all are actually friends. So in a sense, it was a different type of uh I'll say viewing for a lot of people back in the day. So it was definitely something different. And I wanted to, get down and deep with you guys on how like that friendship came about and how actually my guys here right now live streaming. Let's get them in there.
You want
Let's,
Stevens? Go ahead, Steven.
get 'em- what's
Okay,
up?
I'm here.
What's up?
What's
Let's
going
get them
on? You're doing a
here.
good job. You're doing a good. You got to steer us through this, Chazz.
As appreciate it. And let's get it close up like that, guys. So, real quick, I wanted to ask you guys, growing up back in the day, how in the world did this even come about? Like, how, like, for me, if I was friends with somebody, it's because either we in the same class or we in the same things. How did you guys actually meet and how did that friendship come about?
Okay, well, I think before we actually met, I had a pretty good opinion of black people. So I had.
Oh, little note real quick. If you guys
Yeah.
have the live stream going, turn me down so we won't have this echo here.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Right.
I had.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, so
All right, go ahead. There you go.
well, I think partly because of my parents, I had a pretty good view of black people, and like Lemon said, my father was real good I think influence on him when he
like
came to
Lemon said,
Bedford. And
and
myself, I
myself,
was
I was
always
always
inclined to
inclined to
Motown
Motown
and,
and
you
you
know,
know
Soul
Soul
Train,
Train,
and
and
just
just
more of a black
more of a
into the
black
black culture,
into the black culture.
even though I didn't really
Even
know
though
a
I
black.
didn't really know
So when
black.
Lemon
So
showed
when
up,
Lemon showed up,
the basketball
the
coach brought us
basketball
in and
coach
said, "We
was
got a
in
new
and said,
player
"We got
coming
a new
in.
player coming
He's going to
in.
start
He's going to
tomorrow."
start tomorrow."
And in walks
And in
Lemon. He's
walks
like six
Lemon.
foot
He's
two,
like
all
6'2",
muscle, looks like he's
all
25
muscle,
years old.
looks like he's 25 years
And we're
old.
just sitting there and
And we're just sitting
just
there and
staring at him. And he's
just
staring at us
staring at
thinking,
him. He's staring at us
who am I going to
thinking,
be playing with?
who
These
am I going to be
guys?
playing with? These guys?
And,
And
but that's
but
when I first met him.
that's when I first met
And
him.
probably the funny thing
Probably the
about
funny
that
thing
was
about that was
after he walked
after he
away and
walked
he was
away and
introduced
he
to
was
us,
introduced to
we all
us,
kind of looked at
we
each
all
other,
kind of
these
looked at
little
each
white
other, these
boys,
little white boys,
and
and
we just kind of,
we just
there
kind
were so
of,
many questions
there
we
were
could have
so many
asked,
questions we could have asked,
but the only thing we really could
but the
think
only
of
thing we
was,
really
is
could think
Lemon
of
really
was,
his
is
name?
Lemon really his
And
Is
that
name?
was
this
it,
And
sorry
that
real
was
quick,
it.
Steven? Are you guys still it's still an echo. Is it because turn your computer down just a little bit so I can hear him just a little bit better.
Turn yours.
You guys are probably too close because we're both you guys are live streaming right next to each other.
Maybe that's it.
Is it better? Is it
How's
better?
that?
How's that?
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I guess it'll do, but your guys are way too close because it's just an echo.
No, no, no. That's good.
She said we're
She
too
said we're too.
close.
She said we're too close.
You got an echo
It's
still?
all
You got
good.
an
This is
echo
what
still?
happens when yes, and I hear myself all clear. That's cool. I'm just letting you guys know we will hear this later. But just a note for all the viewers that coming into this, right? Steven had no clue that he was going to meet somebody as such as the nature of William Bradford that comes into his city and they become best friends, two different races. Back in the day, that wasn't really a thing, you know. And I want everyone to realize, you know, this was something that was very different. Him being a little bit more cultured and wanting to know a little bit more about the African American people, you know, it definitely made a difference in how he approached him being friends with William. And honestly, you guys can be in the same camera together and just take turns of talking if you want to do that. Either way. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that into consideration of for our viewers that is definitely different for everyone to see back in the day how this friendship came about. So you were a basketball a fan, and you played with my guy William, right? And that's really how the friendship started. And from that, yeah, go into a little bit more detail. Like, what did y'all do other than basketball? What else did you guys have fun with, or like, what are certain things that
Well,
he might have taught you, like for real back then? I was just wonder, like, what is it that you can learn back then so much?
well, actually, we didn't really hang out because I was in eighth grade. He was in
Aw.
ninth grade. He was on a short leash because he had a little bit of trouble in Pittsburgh, is how he ended up in Bedford. And like I mentioned in my story, when Lemon happened, we were walking through town one day and I realized he was on a short leash. And then it hit me, I'm on a short leash and I didn't even do anything. So, you know, it was kind of, but as far as hanging out, being in junior high age, we didn't really hang out much. We played basketball, and that's really how we got to know each other. And once he came that year in junior high, we never lost the game. We were just destroying people. We had
There
good
you
players
go.
anyhow, but when he joined our team, then we became just outstanding. And teams, I think, actually were afraid of us. Part of it because we had this big black kid on our team, and in our area, nobody had a black player,
All
and he was
right.
a heck of an athlete. So he was very dominant, but yet, other than his athletic ability, he had a tremendous personality. Nobody on the team was jealous. He was funny. He was very open to friendship. And I think that was really a big thing that carried him through those 2 years at Bedford was
Mhm.
not just his athletic ability, but his really just tremendous personality. Now, I do think if he wouldn't have been a basketball player and he had been playing the tuba in band, he might not have been as much accepted. But
Right.
so because in Bedford they did appreciate athletic talent, and I think that really helped him and then helped us because they realized how good he was, and he was representing Bedford. So it wasn't like he's just some kid that's walking the streets. He's come to school, he's playing ball, he's very good, and he wasn't playing the tuba.
There you go. I love it. And that's exactly what's different back then is like no black people were playing basketball. Like no one really was on those teams. And when you did have one, you saw that it made a difference. And that's probably when it was like, oh, black people can play basketball now. So everyone
We
started
really like him.
we really like him now. Exactly. That's what's funny. And you actually mentioned there's a book that you actually wrote. Yes, you're an author, and that's really something to congratulate you about. I love that. And have you written any other books besides this one?
I've written a good many short stories,
Okay.
but people that have read some of my stuff think that When Lemon Happened is the best thing I've ever written. And I
There
said,
you
well, I think
go.
a very good character to base it on. So
I love it.
it's on Amazon Kindle ebook, that story.
Okay. Got
Plenty
you.
of
So
people that want to read a story about me and
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Actually, no, I want to actually get a little bit more detail about that book. And if you want, William, you can chime in on this. If you guys can share the camera a little bit on like where did this inspire you guys to write about it? And it's mostly what lemon what when lemon happened, right? So
Yes.
that means lemon is William for Frank. All right, so people that don't know. And so with that, when he happened and came to the town, the difference of you and everyone else on the basketball team just created a whole nother type of environment. And then of course, what else was impacted? Like, was it negative or more positive? Like, what happened when he came to town? Like, he must have been a famous man coming in and also had to create a book about him. So I just want to know, like, what happened? What did he do?
Well, like I'd mentioned earlier, in addition to his athletic ability, he just had this really bright, sunshiny personality, and I think that's kind of what it was Lemon. It wasn't William, and just
Uh huh.
Lemon kind of fit who he was, and people really started to appreciate it. Now, I think maybe some older people, as usually is the case, not as open as the younger people, they were a little unsure. They didn't know if they liked it or not. But anybody that truly knew Lemon, uh, they had no doubts. He was a heck of a guy. He was a real personality. And
Hmm.
really, within a year or two at Bedford, he was a star. I mean, people wanted to be around him. He was like very popular, and I think that says a lot for a young black kid coming into an all white school in an all white town, and to be that popular. Really, you think back on it's an amazing thing, and I think that helped me decide to write the story. And I wrote the story about 6 years ago, and it sort
Okay.
of got going when we kind of reunited, reconnected after a 42-year gap.
Hmm.
So I started thinking back to those days when we first met, and then reconnecting. 42 years later, I started thinking we actually stayed fairly tight, even though we didn't see each other much. I started thinking that's really a story, and I think it was really
Yeah.
Lemon who encouraged me to write the story. And so it was a combination of 1970 being 13, 14 years old, and then being in the last 6 years being in our 60s. That's a long gap, and I
Right.
really think that my idea was to combine both periods of time, combine when we first met, what life was like, what he was like, what I was like in basketball, and then
Hmm.
picking it up in the year 2014. And a lot of things that happened to both of us, and some of it was good, and some of it wasn't so good. But and that's all in the story. It just kind of combines some basketball, some friendship, and how things changed from 2000 or 1970 to 2014, and
Gotcha.
that's kind of how I went about it, and I think it worked out pretty good.
There you go. Well, cool. But actually, a little inside scoop on, you know, this. I was just gonna say I wanted to know, William, and your guys' input on, you said you were friends for a small amount of time actually, and still stay connected, and then lost contact within 6 years, and then reconnected later. I want to know, like, between those times of you guys not knowing each other and you just living your life and as an adult, what was the main difference that you've seen in the world as being an adult from you being a child? And you getting into that zone and everything.
What do you mean? What you say that one time? The question?
So as an
Can you repeat
adult,
the
like
question?
when from you being an adult and not really having contact with Steven for so long, and then being able to reconnect, but within those time periods of not seeing each other and being friends, did you notice any difference between how other people have made treated you that you kind of want to be friends with, or just as an adult just seeing more of a racism going on and understanding that this is not how I grew up and has to be a change, and sometimes making that change is difficult and more than you thought, because as an adult, a lot of people are standoffish and closed-minded. So I just wanted to know, from your point of view as an adult, how did this come up? How did you live your life in another way from you being a child and going through those fun times with him, but coming into this now?
That's a good question, Chaz. Actually, how did that? Because I do see that now too. Because as a kid growing up in Bedford, coming from a black kid coming from Pittsburgh, which in my neighborhood was predominantly black, and then you come to a neighborhood that's predominantly white. At the same kid, that was like would have been a culture shock, but the transition was pretty smooth. And I don't, and his parents, the Waltmans were. I mean, his uncle was our coach, and he was just as hard and tough on me, and told me get down on it, damn it, get the ball, get the ball. And I normally I would be frantic, I want to punch him out, but he was telling everyone to get the ball, get down on the ground,
Right.
get the ball. And so I would be looking at everyone else at the same time. I'm doing it too. And that's it. Everyone was trying to get the ball. So I didn't feel left out. I didn't feel at all. He was mean to everybody. He was mean to me. He was mean to everybody on the team. He just wanted us to play hard. Get the ball, get the ball. And so normally, coming from a white guy telling me to get the ball, I'd be ready to, like, oh, hold up, but I didn't take it like that. So I was kind of, and then that was his uncle, the coach, but his father treated me
Mhm.
totally opposite. His father, how you doing today? Is everything okay? Did you understand the subject matter? It was total opposite. So I had two
Yeah.
worlds of the same coin. I had everything going on. They were all both white. So coming to this area, black, to a predominantly white area. So my transition was pretty cool. However, outside of this area, I mean, Bedford is not. It's a conservative town. It's all white, and I'm not trying to give them props no more than they to need to be, but they did treat me fair. I believe coming up, I didn't hear that was my subject, not nigger. I didn't hear the word nigger at all growing up, and I was to their eyes, I blessed I was. But growing up, I didn't hear that word in Bedford, Pennsylvania. After I grew up, now that I'm 60, 55, when I came back, I started hearing little different things like that. But at the time period that we were children and kids growing up, I didn't hear that. I
Mhm.
wasn't, I didn't hear it. It might have been said, like in closed doors or in private circles, but I didn't. They didn't face it head on to me. You know what I'm saying? So I really commend them for not being like that to me, because I didn't feel left out at all. I felt if it was time to get the ball, we had to get the ball together, and it was time
Right.
to do our studies. I had to study, So I really felt okay. So racism to me played a bigger role in the later years, like 2000, as the years, with the 1970, when I was here in 1980, back in Pittsburgh, and as the years went on, people uh, narrow their mind, the ignorance of them not being aware of being awake, aware about what the conversation should be about. It should be about understanding the cultures, but not understanding the culture and living in fear puts people in some sort of anxiety, of threat. Like we're going to do this to them or that to them. So I think that's how racism starts stimulating in the minds of people, not knowing the inevitable, like they're going to come get us one day, or not turning is going to happen all over again, and so I think they have all these things in their mind without talking or not having a conversation. Like I think Stephen and I, 40 years, we kept the lines of communication open, and I think being a black guy and being a white guy having open conversations, we didn't really need to talk about negative things because it was all positive with us. We didn't never, I never had a problem. It was all around us, but we never personally had like running to duke it out or anything. And it could be rightfully so. Everyone knows nigger or nigga. Most people, the young kids, like to say that with the a at the end, thinking it's okay. It's like accepted because it's my camaraderie. But the nigger er at the end, that means that back in the day, like the colonial time, still trying to put us in some sort of framework that we don't want to be.
Right.
You
That's the
understand?
bad
So
part
it's a big
about that one.
it's it's a big difference, though. I mean, people have to understand it is a difference, and we don't. I don't like either one, but I do understand the like Tupac. They changed the lyrics. I mean, I love the idea of hip hop trying to in sync some of the negativity that they had to live with and make it their own. And so Tupac is one of them. I commend people, Tupac and Biggie. They coming off straight. I'm like, I listen to the words. Some of them just really impress me. I mean, nigga is a negative word, but they took nigga and turned it into one of the words that you want to say every day because it has a different
Right.
meaning to them. It has a different meaning to stay awake. To not be in the struggle. So certain things happen to make us want to be like a chameleon, like you're just trying to sink into things that we don't even know nothing about. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about when they do rap, but they're talking about something positive. You know what I'm saying? So that I
I love
do,
it.
yeah. And
But
you have
I
another
do.
question?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying me about the connotation about how people make us feel. They put us in a framework of being one way, and the young people today, even the millennials now, they change everything around to mean what they want it to mean. And in my eyes, seeing that's brilliance to me. They don't want
Yeah.
to have negativity on, so they don't make it being negative. They don't let it be negative. They change it all around, and that's very
Exactly.
enlightening for you to hear. They don't want if they don't want to if we need to have love in the world, why would they want to have some sort of negative things going on in their mind? They don't want nothing negative. It's about love. It's about being one accord. And if we can live like that, that's what it's all about. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. That's real. That's so real. And to be honest, in the end, I want to say this and also ask you guys, like, for instance, I understand and I see the world getting into a whole other type of aspect in the other things that I do as far as financial and just different type of futuristic things we will have in technology and just cars and all of this. But in that whole sanctuary, like, I had this question up here, and is it more at risk going through the future than it was back then, in a sense of, is it more scary now with racism, or was it more scary back then?
What was your question? Is it more at risk going to the future than it was back in the
Sorry.
day? That's the
Yeah.
question.
So I'm not sure. You kind of went out. You got a little
That well,
foggy on me. I said, is
yeah,
it? I
it was
know
it was
within today's world, right? Is it more at risk in going through the future, with all these cool things that could happen to our world? Is it more at risk for us to not be in sync as far as not being discriminated against? Is it more scary
um,
now than it is back then or was back then?
oh, yeah, it's more scarier now than it was back then.
Yeah,
To be honest with
yeah.
you, this is nothing. you know, uh, I'm gonna tell you like this: every time period
Hey,
has their period. For,
sorry. It was just a little foggy. You keep going in
and
and
a lot
out
of
on
times
me.
people sit back and just don't do nothing. Oh, sorry.
Is it possible to use
Who
maybe
won't pick this right?
Steven's phone real quick because you keep going in and out on me?
Okay, hold on. Let me try moving. Oh, you better now?
Yeah,
Is it better now? Okay.
sort of.
I'll stay right here for a minute.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah, it's better. I can tell. All right. So, but my point of view, I think it's more, it's not up to every period has their periods of being positive and negative. I think with whatever I think mostly when people, the social media has definitely taken off. Look at what you're doing there right now. So I think the main thing is to get into the keeping up with what you need to do to keep up. That a lot of things happening on the real time now, like right now things. And if you can keep up with the right now type of attitude, you'll be in there. I think back in the day, it was real. Let's sit back and wait and watch, so much. And then than now, now is more. It's more not frightening now, but you got to be on your game. You got to be really on your game,
Mhm.
like you're doing now. I think you're doing a good job doing this pod, the cast right here, because it's just being in time in sync with what's happening. And I think being in sync is very important to your financial and the physical aspect of the real life. People want to stay. If you got to stay in it, if you're not in the game, you're going to be out the game real quick.
This is true. This is true. Well, good. Kudos to that one. Definitely wanted to get into a little bit more detail as well about another comment here. Um, could you ever see the world being one again in a way where actually was it ever one ever before? I don't even think that is possible to see that, but I want to know, like,
What
since yeah, the social media is taking a big part in this and how we
mean?
can speak up more, but could it ever
What does that?
be
What, what does that? What does that mean? The world be one again? We're not
in a
one
sense
now.
of can no, we're not.
Oh,
And
you mean as far as cultures?
right, like, as I mean, I guess that's a really broad question, but like in a sense of like, can we all just get along and not have any issues or have any type of discrimination against each other, or not because of just race or but maybe financial class or or just different categories of life, from another country or whatever the case may be. What could we ever just be united?
Let Stephen answer. Shaz, let Stephen answer that
Yeah,
question.
I'm sorry, the you're
His
you're
point of view.
doing a buffer again.
Okay.
Is it possible to get on another phone?
No, we got it.
Yeah,
Should be clear now.
I think okay.
Yeah, I
Looks
know.
like she's frozen.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on the Williams phone. He doesn't have service like that, I don't think, in the restaurant. So
No, we're in both
try to
the
add
same
your
spot.
Hey,
just try to add your phone on, Steven.
question, Chaz. Was ever
She wants to change phone.
um,
Change phones.
Where's the spot? Internet.
yes, he should.
I mean, oh, yeah, it is. Oh, he's talking about Steven. I'm not my anymore. I don't want this.
Yeah,
Chaz,
there
we
you go. No. Is
continue.
it possible to get on a different phone, Steven?
Right.
Good. Or your laptop or something? There it goes. I'm connecting. I see it. There you go. Boom. All right.
All right. To your question, I don't think it was ever
Let
perfect
it
or
catch up a
ideal.
little bit. There you go. Much better. Much better.
Okay. I don't think the relations and what goes on in the country has ever been perfect. And it definitely
Yeah.
wasn't perfect back in the late 60s, early 70s. And I really feel today it's not in some ways a whole lot better. We have laws in place to make things better, but the actual beliefs and ideas of people is not a whole
Hmm.
lot better than it was 40, 50 years ago. Although I feel like there's more people that are starting to get with it and not be
Hmm.
so, you know, hammered down by old thoughts. And the one thing Lemon and I talked about not too long ago was part of the problem is people don't really know each other. Whites don't know blacks. Blacks don't know whites. We still go to, in a lot of ways, go to segregated schools, segregated churches, um, neighborhoods, segregated. So people grow up, and you could be a white person even today, grow up and through 15 or 20 years, not really truly know one black person. And
Right.
so I think there's too much segregation still in our society, and I think there's no way that can improve unless people start communicating and really get to know each other. Otherwise, since they don't know, let's say, a black person, they're going to fall back on old stereotypes, and that's all they know is the stereotypes. They don't really know the person, and that's very hurtful.
Yes, yes. Very, very, very. And the part about it is, we have to just educate ourselves, right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything. Because the more you know, the better of a judgment you can have for another person
Yeah,
or for
exactly.
whatever situation. So definitely agree with that one. All right. Well, to wrap it up with you guys, I definitely want to get a little bit more insight on, where can we get the book? Where can we get the book? How can we get the book and really get more insight on how you guys grew up in a different state and a different time period, and how that relates to us now? Where can we get it?
Okay, the only place you can get it is Kindle ebook, Amazon. If you type
Okay.
"When Lemon Happened" or my name, Steve Waltman, um, it'll take you there, and then you can buy it online, and it's a very reasonable price.
Got you. All right. That works. That works. Definitely appreciate you guys being here today and getting, a little bit more insight on how you guys grew up, and it wasn't so much in the as negative as most may think, growing up back in that day in that small little town. You guys actually were one of the ones that can be a real big voice in how we do things today. So yeah, I appreciate you guys being here today. I definitely want to leave a good note though, also for our viewers on, you know, another slight question I want to ask before we go is what type of uh you know, I feel as though industry that would benefit most from reading this type of book. Would it be athletes? Would it be more so business owners? Or, give me an insight on a category on how, what category of people would be most interested in this.
Well, to a certain degree, athletes, but that would be a minor part compared to the whole idea of the book and what we tried to emphasize. So I'd say athletes, but more uh, race relations.
Mhm. Got you.
Hey, can I
Okay.
just get one thing in? My last name is Waltman.
Okay, got you.
Okay, but I think,
MLCW.
the good thing about this story, it's real. We try to throw some humor in with it, but it's the big thing. It's two people, one white and one black, that really made it work, and not just for 2 years, but we've made it work for close 40 some years. So I think that is unusual, and I think that's
Yeah,
something we both feel good about.
that's awesome. That's really cool. That's really great. Any closing words for your viewers here, Steve?
Um, just people should pay more attention to other people, especially ones that appear different, because I think what you find out is they're not really that much different. You have the same goals, you have the same dreams, and a lot of times the same teams that you root for. So it's don't make the differences bigger than what they are. Need to
Right.
emphasize the similarities and the good feelings that you can have with another person.
Yes, sir. And for my guy William,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
definitely want to close out with you and get some closing words, or any statement that you want to leave with.
Yes.
Why did he do that? Oh man. So he left the chat by accident, I think. Let's get him back in here, guys. Yeah. Here. I
No,
actually
I'm here.
wanted you on that same phone, but it's okay because your phone was just not on good service in there. But okay, I think we got it.
Is it okay? I'm okay. What was
Okay.
your question?
Just any closing words. So for your viewers here on, anything about the book that you want to mention, or any closing statements that that we should take note to growing up in today's society.
Yeah. The first is I like to. I am in awe that the story is written around me in Bedford. So it talks about people should read it because it really is a different type of character. I am Lemon in 1972, 75. I mean 70. So you know what I'm saying. So it was actually a time period where I was really raw. I was really raw, and people were looking at me like a star. But I was just a black kid from the city, trying to do my thing and trying to stay out of trouble. So it was.
What did they call you when you were? Well, isn't there definitions of each kind of guy and city and not back
Oh
then?
yeah. Now let's go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Chaz bring this up real quick. This is like really a longer than a 5 minute, 10 minute conversation. But people now this is not open live, but people in Bedford call black people in Bedford they're niggers. And then me being from the city, what would I be? I would be a city nigger. So I'm like, I don't like either one of them niggas. Whether you're
At all.
no, I don't want to be either one of them. Either way, but some close close people to me believe that it's good to be their nigga, and I'm like, no, it ain't good. And they're like, yeah, because and that's what kind of like threw me off. I don't want to be nobody's nigga, nigger. any way you want to say it, because the kind of the connotation of the character of that word, the characteristic of that word is not for me. I don't care how it's. Even Tupac, he switched it up and tried to make no positive spin on it. I don't want to be no spin at all with the word nigga. So, but being in Bedford, they think that the people in Bedford that are black, they consider they're niggers, because they don't feel them as a threat, because they don't fear them, and that's a problem for me. I want you to fear me if I'm something different from you. If we're the same if we're human beings, then the cool. But if you think I'm somebody different from you, and I gotta be called something else, man, you better fear me because I'm gonna be mad at them. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people that live at town believe that it's good to be their nigger, because then that way they won't be a threat to you and they can live in peace. I wouldn't be in peace living like that. So I'm
Right.
definitely a person to believing that I'm gonna stand up for what I believe, and I'm not gonna bow down to nobody, regardless of any words that you call me. So I guess that's why they didn't call me that, no words. But
There
as
you
far as
go.
what I'm saying? But as far as people to understand, racism is what you got in your head. You make yourself a racist by the things that you think or the things you say. You don't have to be like that. I mean, like Stephen had iterate to just recap on what he said. You make your friends or your light or your positiveness and your happen in your world yourself. No one can make you be nothing but what you're going to be. Now, if you be somebody different, then that's your prerogative that you choose to select that. That you don't have to be no one that you don't have to be, whether you're black or white. And being friends, it doesn't mean that you friend with a black person, a white person, a green person, a Puerto Rican, or Filipino. You can be anybody's friend you want. And I think when people start categorizing different people to be friends with, they got a problem. I got a problem with that, because that means that you really are not my friend. If you got to categorize who I am or where I came from, then we maybe should rethink this friendship.
Huh.
Because
For real.
it's not about where you're from or who you look or what kind of shirt you got on, what kind of sneakers you wear to be my friend. You can be my friend any way you need to be if we're friends in the heart. The heart says it all. Love is everything, Chaz. If you don't love if you don't have the love of camaraderie, love, not so much I want to go out with you as a boyfriend or girlfriend, but just camaraderie love. We live in the same community, we play on the same team, we rooting for the same team. That's camaraderie love. Community love is big time. If you don't have that, you don't have nothing.
Yes, sir. Facts only. And I think you dropped
Not
the
like
mic
yours.
by then. All right. You laggy. Did you drop the mic? You dropped the mic, right?
Did I drop the mic?
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
dropped the
yeah.
mic.
I didn't catch to see I'm the old school.
Oh
Oh
god.
yeah, bye.
All right,
Yeah.
these guys. Well, thanks again, my old man, for being on here. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Stephen Waltman, the author, and Women Lemon, the story behind it. And if you guys haven't already figured it out, this is my father, and definitely appreciate him being on today's live stream. And we're definitely gonna have a few more of those with Stephen as well. So look, stay tuned for those. And again, if you guys want, shout out your guys' Facebooks. If you guys have any social media or anything you want people to follow you on, let them know.
Yeah. Mine is William Bradford, CIR. And the CIR stands for the circle of William, the circle of my spirit. Those who are in my circle
Okay,
are with my spirit. CIR William.
CRR William, got you. All right, that's Facebook. That's cool. All right, we got you. We'll definitely get you up there. And again, thanks again for being live with me. Stay tuned for more, guys, and we'll catch you then. All right, see you later. Thanks again. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.